Hello, welcome back. Something really cool happened last night. I'm not sure when this will be posted. It happened Saturday night into Sunday morning. I'm not sure exactly what time, but this may not be posted until Monday due to slow upload speed down here in the forest. But this was so unexpected. Excuse me. Oh, so sorry. Just choked. But so what happened was, sorry, went down the wrong side there. About 3 years ago, I did a video about a good friend of mine, Master Corporal Ronald G. Williams with the Delaware State Police. Um, it was on my story time, on my playlist, and he perished in an automobile accident with his wife and his baby, infant baby. I'm trying to remember, I think it was 2002, if I remember correctly. I know it was August 9th, but I posted, I've talked about him a few times, and really dear friend, really dear friend. So I wake up this morning out in the woods here in the forest, had a great night's sleep, slept in a little bit, just having, just relaxing, you know what I mean? Just letting nature soothe my soul. And then I happened to look down and I got a super chat from Ronnie's sister. I believe she's the older sister. I know she's the older of the two sisters. I think his brother may be the oldest in the family, but anyway, Kathy Williams Kennedy sent me a super chat. It was really nice. Really nice comment in there, and it just brought back so many memories, it stirred up so many emotions, with deep within my soul. And but the one thing that kept coming back was how great a friend Master Corporal Ronald G. Williams was, Delaware State Police trooper, and he was just a good dude. I don't know what more I can say. I mean, we did a lot together. A lot of shenanigans, and basically his sister had asked. I guess she liked the story. The video that I had posted was the one with he had went from Delaware to Montana to get an old Plymouth Chrysler, and he restored it to it had the single cherry dome on it. He restored it to be used for parades and funerals and things of that nature. And the first time it was ever put in service was for his own funeral, which was really sad, really sad. So I just basically talked about that. And I forget, I did watch the video this morning, but then I watched some other things. And so Kathy asked me to share some more stories for her kids, so they could know Uncle Ronnie a little bit better. And just so you guys know, if you hear me refer to him as Ronnie, I'm not trying to be disrespectful and not use his rank, but that's just how we communicated. I was Gary and he was Ronnie. So I will tell you this, for Kathy, he was funny, man. He was never ending funny. And when we got together, it was nonstop. I mean, literally, we were just crazy together. I mean, crazy. I mean, we didn't really go out and commit any crimes or anything crazy like that, but we did some stuff that was could be borderline, just in our demeanor. but so Kathy's asking, so I want her to hear this story. This is pretty funny. Kathy may or may not remember a place on Basin Road in Newcastle County. It was called the 4-in-1 Club. Really funny how this all came about together. And I went to high school with a family called the Goldsteins. They had 4 sons and 1 daughter. That their father was a doctor, a gynecologist to be exact, and he built or invested in a nightclub called the 4-in-1 Club. So it was like a pretty happening place. It was more like a little bit of a rough crowd. I'm not saying rough, but it was. They had like bands. You know, we were young. You know, we'd go out, kind of go listen to the bands. Not everybody went in there was a ruffian. You know, that probably didn't sound too cool, but you know, we just like to go there, have fun. So Dr. Goldstein was working the door this one particular night. It was a weekend night, Friday or Saturday night, whatever it was. And he had done, he wasn't the most upstanding individual, but he was, you know, he was always nice to me. But so picture, we're in line, a long line in Newcastle County, Delaware. Newcastle itself, you know, the town, the city, whatever you want to call it. And he sees me and Ronnie. And he turns, he goes, "Those 2 back there, let them in. They're with the Delaware State Police." Pretty much letting everybody in the bar know that we're with the Delaware State Police. I'm like, I was so mad. I was like, I wanted, so we bypass everybody in this line with no cover charge. He lets us in free, but everybody knows. Like, nobody talked to us all night. So I was like, daggone it. And some of that was pretty funny. That was a pretty good time. Then, sorry, I got a runny nose. Got some kind of allergies or something. But another time, this was too daggone funny. Ronnie used to do this all the time. And I'm not saying this as disrespectful. This was just Ronnie. But we would go places like just party place, you know, like a pub, a tavern, you know, restaurant, whatever. And he always seemed to like just kind of show his ID, his state police ID. And then we always got preferential treatment. But I was like, Ronnie, you got to quit doing that crap, man. You're going to get us in trouble. We can't do that, you know. Don't. He was always pretty cool, you know, but he would do stuff like that, you know, and like we would get along and have fun, but we would argue at times. I'm like, Ronnie, you're going to get us in serious trouble. You're in trouble, man. You can't do that, you know. But oh, what else? What else can I think? Here's one. I probably told this in a story at one point in time on YouTube, but I have like 1,500 videos on YouTube, so I don't remember if I did. And sorry, somebody's here at the campground I just waved to. But this was really funny. There was 2 brothers that I met through Ronnie, Ed and Glenn. And I honestly, I don't know why I always get their names mixed up. One went on to be a big general manager for a very well-known drugstore chain, and the other one had been in the Army and just got out of the Army. So Ronnie and I were living at Birch Point condominiums. We called it the BP pad, and it was a really sweet place. It had 2 bedrooms, a loft, a little storage room that I converted. Basically, just I threw a mattress down and slept in that little closet, basically. But I had a beautiful loft overlooking the wooded area, and then we had a nice fireplace downstairs, spiral staircase. It was just a really cool place. And anyway, so Ronnie asked me if if I would mind a third roommate, and I'm like, I, I don't care. He said so and so's brother, because I always get the names mixed up, so I'm sorry about that. But so and so's brother is getting out of the army and needs a place to live, and I'm like, well, it's your it's your crib basically. It's your family's. I'm okay with it. I'm sure if he's coming out of the army, he's squared away. Little did we know. But hold on one second. So this fella, I felt so bad for Ronnie. I felt so bad for him. This guy moves in and didn't have a job. Really didn't even try and search for a job. Ronnie goes out of his way to contact a retired Delaware State Trooper who was a high-ranking official. In the old days, they would have captains, staff captains, then majors, and then like lieutenant colonel, and then colonel, stuff like that. So this staff captain, pretty sure his name is Capodanno. I've got a story related to him. When I was in Trooper Youth Week, really intimidating guy, a Marine drill sergeant, to be honest with you. So Staff Captain Capodanno was head of security at MB&A Bank in Delaware. I think it was considered Ogletown, Delaware, or something like that, Stanton or whatever it was up there. Really big bank. It eventually got bought out by sorry, this truck kind of distracted me. It got bought out by Bank of America, but at the time they were like the number 2 credit card company in the country or the world or whatever it was. But so Captain Capodanno was in charge of security. Ronnie makes a phone call on behalf of the one guy that was going to be, and to get him a job. Captain was like, no problem. We, tell him to come in, such, whatever. They talked. Hires him on Ronnie's word. The guy would never show up for work, show up late. I was just terrible, a nightmare, and it made Ronnie look really bad, really bad. I mean, I was like, I felt bad for him, and so another thing. So he moves in with us, and Ronnie and I had both been pretty clean. I can't say I'm super clean right now, but back then, we were clean, and we respected each other, our space and our living quarters, and but when that fella moved in, really sloppy, and he would never do dishes. There was, we all drank beer, no secret there. Those two smoked cigarettes. I didn't. But so there would always be like cigarette bottles around with like the ashes in the bottle and stuff like that. The guy would never do dishes. Ronnie and I were always pretty good about cleaning up after ourselves. Every once in a while, you might let something soak overnight, but it was never like a disaster. So I kid you not, the sink would be overflowing. You couldn't even move the faucet because there was so much stuff. It was like, dude, get a clue, do some dishes, clean. So this happened on and on. Well, Ronnie, I don't know why he would always ask me questions that he should have already known the answers to, especially being a trooper. He would ask me like, did you eat my ice cream? I'm like, no, Ronnie, I'm allergic to dairy products. No, I didn't eat your ice cream. He was big on Breyers, like mint chocolate chip or whatever it was. So I'm like, no, I didn't eat your ice cream. No, I don't, so we would butt heads a little bit every time he would question me on that. Then, so that happened. Then he had a really nice, like plush, whatever it was, lazy boy recliner that he just loved. He worked hard, he earned his money, he bought that, and he really liked it. Well, one day there was a cigarette burn about that big in his plush recliner. He comes to me, did you burn a hole in my? I'm like, I would get so pissed at him because, excuse me, Kathy, I would get so mad at him because I'm sorry, kids. I don't know how old you are nowadays, but Uncle Ronnie was a funny dude. But he knew I didn't smoke. I don't know why he was asking me. I guess he just wanted to go through the process of elimination. I'm like, no. Like, you know. So he was really upset about that. So this goes on and on. So the guy that moved in with us would always steal Ronnie's Pop-Tarts. Ronnie loved Pop-Tarts. Pop-Tarts and ice cream. Breyer's ice cream. So finally, he got really sick of it. So this is terrible, kids. I don't know how old you are. Hopefully you're adults or close to adults by now. I think you probably are. But anyway, Ronnie had this idea. He had, I don't know, it was about, I don't know how much it was, half a gallon of ice cream, Breyer's ice cream. And so what he did was, since the guy wasn't doing the dishes, Ronnie knew that the dude was going to eat his ice cream. So we leave the ice cream out and let it melt. Ronnie gets all the backwash and the cigarette ashes and all that from the bottles, puts it in with the, I mean, there was like just all kinds of like just filth from the sink, puts it into the ice cream, stirs it up while the dude was at work, refreezes it. And Ronnie comes to me. I don't know why he always asks me these stupid questions, but Ronnie comes to me and says, did you eat my ice cream? I'm like, hell no. You know, I don't like, I would get so mad at him. He goes, I got to go find. So here's the other thing. We always had to go in, and Ronnie, every time he was looking for his missing food, he would go in the other dude's room and find like just trash everywhere under the bed. It was really bad. So he finds his empty carton of ice cream that was mixed with beer backwash and cigarette ashes and God knows what else was in that sink, what diseases could have been in there. But we were dying laughing. So a lot of the other ones were pretty crazy. We went on a few road trips to Atlantic City. We did some stupid stuff. We shouldn't have been doing. I'll just leave it at that. But we always, you know, I know when Kathy's dad's head, Ronnie's dad, he thought I was an evil person or something. It was obvious. There was definitely tension there in the family with the father. But I didn't hold that against Ronnie or anything. Just I didn't like how certain things went. But, you know, I'm older now, and, you know, it made me real excited to hear from Kathy. They're really nice people. Always adored them. You know, I was going through a bad time. You know, it's weird how like one thing can change your entire life. You know, for me, it was my color deficiency. I couldn't become hired as a Delaware State Trooper. And my entire life, my course of life, my entire plan changed. It was the only thing I ever wanted to do. And I was really upset. I guess upset's not the right word. Jealous that Ronnie and some other people I knew got to achieve that goal. So I will say one more thing. I can probably get away with this one. Ronnie had a fiance. Her name was Frankie. Actually, I just thought of two more stories. And I felt really bad about this because it made me look like a schmuck just for doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing. But I used to hang out in North Wilmington off Philadelphia Philadelphia Pike at a place called the Front Porch Restaurant, which is actually was just a back patio. It, it was just an old historic building. But there was a lady there that worked there. Her name was Bonnie. She was a school teacher, but she always seemed to be in the know. Somehow, she knew Frankie and her ex-boyfriend, fiance, whatever he was. So I remember it was right around Christmas time. Man, I felt so bad because it backfired. It really made me look bad, really bad, until the truth finally came out. But she was telling me that she had from a good source that uh, Frankie was in communication and starting, I guess, to have another relationship with her old boyfriend. I forget the guy's name. He was like an Indian guy. And so she even described in detail to me of a sweater that he had given Frankie. So I'm sorry, I'm looking at two people over here at the office. I'm at Blackwater Joe's, by the way, as I'm recounting these stories. So I tell Ronnie, and he gets real mad. I made him, when I finally told him, actually I sat on it for, I forget how long it was, like 24, 48 hours. And then I forget where I did this. But I remember he was in uniform when I broke the news to him on duty. And I felt really bad about that because how are you, sir? So I tell him, I said, look, I'm not making this accusation. I'm just telling you what I heard. Well, apparently it sounded like I was making this accusation. And he confronted her, and she denied everything. So I ended up looking like, all right, there's a guy parking here. I don't know if he's coming over to talk to me or what, but he may be. Hold on, he just got out of the passenger side, which is really funny. But okay, he's just filling up water jugs at my little water station here. So anyway, eventually, there was like some disbelief, like I was making this stuff up, causing trouble and all this. I made it quite clear. Look, this is what I heard. This is who I heard it from, and pretty sure this was the same time or incident, whatever. Frankie was working as Ronnie's dad's secretary, administrative assistant, whatever you want to call it. Back then, I think they were called secretary for his insurance company. So sorry, I'm a little distracted with the guy in the background here. So one day, Ronnie's getting ready to go to work, and there's a big bouquet of flowers delivered to her from whatever this dude's name was, Amir or whatever. I forget what his name was. And so it was like all of a sudden, like, yeah, Gary might have been right, or created a big stink. And, once again, she pretty much denied it and stuff like that. But it didn't go too well. But anyway, sorry, I'm really distracted by this guy in the background. He looks like somebody that we terminated from work, so I'm not sure if it was him or not. But anyway, so then this goes on, and like Ronnie believes her on every rebuttal she had, and then he had me. It was so funny. This was so crazy. This is like we were both young back then. This is like probably 25 years ago. I don't know. And he said, let's go by, I forget whose residence. I think it was his residence or the other guy's residence, whatever. So Ronnie was hiding in the back. And he wanted me to drive in places, spying. And we did. And yeah, we saw things, or yeah, pretty much, yeah. So I would, just kind of confirm things. That part was weird for him. Uh, in the long run, it was probably really good that that happened. And so that's that. So here's another story, true story. Ronnie's sister Kathy and oh my gosh, I can see her face. The younger sister. I apologize for not remembering her name. Uh, there was a wedding where Frankie's sister, she had two sisters. One lived in Dallas, Texas. One lived in Newcastle, and they were getting married. And Ronnie and I had pretty good instincts. I'm really proud because I thought I had great instincts. In fact, I still think I have great instincts when I can sense trouble or whatever. And so Frankie's sister, I forget her name, she was also a blonde-haired gal, was getting married. And I was trying to remember, I forget where the wedding was, but we look, and the two families that were getting married were like the Hatfields and McCoys. So I just say we looked at each other, in the code for Delaware State Police at the time, which I don't even think they use these codes anymore. Ida Victor meant fight. It was like code for fight. So we looked at each other, and I said, "There's going to be an Ida Victor tonight," and he kind of nodded and agreed. So the sister from Dallas, Texas, was a little bit loco, gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous, a little bit loco, and so she started a little bit of trouble. Then then we go to the. I wish I could remember where these places were. This was somewhere in Newcastle, but there was the wedding reception. So we go there, and there was some like more intense scuffles, and we could see it escalating because of the alcohol content and stuff like that. Mind you, I was supposed to be working that night. I took off to participate in this wedding, not as a any official capacity, but